Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today we're going to talk about a new game, a game that was released in 1981 by Taito. Now this game is kind of the big brother of another game that I have down here, and that is Zookeeper. Anyway, you know what, the game's not down here, so why don't we go check it out. It's in the garage. Okay, we are in the garage. Now, the game we're going to talk about today was released in 1981 by Taito. And the game, of course, is called QIX. Now, this game here, I got this a couple months ago. This game was completely dead when I got it. This game shares the same hardware as Zookeeper. And Zookeeper and QIX are pretty much two of the most notorious games. I mean, they are basically hard to get going and hard to keep going. I messed around with all kinds of different PCBs and swapping parts and RAM. It took me forever to get this going. I actually got it going by buying a working board set off of eBay, and actually got it going today. When I got this game, the artwork was in kind of bad shape as well. These games, all the Taito games from this era, have glass marquees which are silk screened with incandescent bulbs behind them, and that heat from those bulbs just eats away that paint and they start flaking. So when I got this thing, you could see the bulbs. I mean, you could see right through this. I got lucky and I found a guy on Claw with a decent glass original marquee, so that's in here now. And also my bezel was all flaking as well. Just over time, the paint just starts letting go. I actually ended up getting another bezel and touching it up, and I'm pretty proud of how it turned out. You really can't tell, but there was like some major holes in this bezel, and what I did is I sprayed triple thick on the glass, and then I touched up all of the little holes with acrylic paints that I purchased at Joann Fabrics. And these are like just little dollar bottles of paints. You can find them at Michael's as well. And I just kind of color matched the best I could, and I touched it all up. I think it turned out pretty great. And then when I was all done, I went over it again with triple thick to kind of seal it in there. But anyway, I tell you what, guys, and also before we start the gameplay, I want to mention after the gameplay, I'm going to show you guys kind of the back of the cabinet and how the hardware and all that works. I've actually had a bunch of people asking me lately, hey, why don't you go inside the game more? Show me how the hardware works. So we'll do that after the gameplay. Anyway, tell you what, why don't I set up a tripod and show you guys how QIX plays. Okay, we have the tripod set up. Now, first things first, let me show you guys kind of the control scheme here. This game has a 4-way joystick right here and 2 buttons. One button says fast draw, and the other says slow draw. Now, the object of this game, basically, you control this cursor, and there's this little thing floating around that's called the QIX. And you're basically trying to avoid it and trying to fill in the level. It's really kind of abstract and hard to explain. Why don't I just start the game and show you guys how it plays. Now, this game does not have free play. I actually had to put a whole bunch of credits in here, so let's just start a game. Okay, so right there is the QIX, this thing right here. It's moving around, and this little cursor, you see that? That's me. And what I want to do is I want to just start drawing, making closed shapes. And when I close the shapes, it actually sections off part of the board. Now, if I do the fast draw, like that, it closes off and makes a kind of a bluish box. And if I use the slow draw, my cursor goes slower, but it makes an orange colored box. The color significance doesn't really mean anything for the gameplay, but the orange, basically, you earned more points when you use the slow draw, because you're more in danger. So right now I'm using the slow, okay? Alright, so that's basically the game. We're basically just trying to close the level off. And see up here it says claimed. Right now we're trying to get to 75% claimed. And the whole time we're doing this, we're trying to avoid the QIX, which is that thing, and the sparks, which are those things back there. They're following my path. And I don't want to be on the path when they cross over me, otherwise I will lose a life. Alright, so I've got a guy over here following me, a spark right there, so let's get out of here. And the QIX is kind of in the way too. Alright. Now there are a bunch of different strategies to play this game. One of which is what they call kind of like the tree method, where we're going to kind of start going in like this, and we're going to basically just try to like box in the kicks. Just kind of push him into a corner that he can't get out of. Ah, fuck. Well, that wasn't very good. Alright, let's start over. This game is actually pretty brutal. The high score, just to get on the leaderboard in this game, you need to get 30,000 points, and that's like a default high score. Alright, so I'm trying to section the board off to kind of keep the QIX on that one side. Now he's just kind of trapped over there. There you go. So now I claimed 47%. And I don't really know if it's the best strategy to do what I just did there, to do all of that at once. Alright, let's see if we can get him in there. Now we've claimed 58%. Alright, let's go for it. Alright, 71%. Now, the more that we can claim over 75, we're going to get 1,000 extra bonus points. So it's kind of So it's kind of important that we get more than 75% claim, which basically means my next move has to be a big one. And it wasn't. So we claimed 75%. We didn't get a bonus. If we would have claimed 76%, we would have gotten 1,000 points. And you basically get 1,000 extra points for each percentage that you claim. This is risky. Okay. Now I can kind of just take my time over here. Can't really come over here. And by the way, you can't go backwards. If you try to go backwards, those sparks will come out and they'll start chasing you. So if the QIX touches the line that you're drawing, you die instantly. This game is actually pretty damn unique. I mean, this is a very interesting, abstract idea. Alright, so we're at 74%. Can I make a bold move here and try to get much more than that? Fuck. And I didn't. Anyway, that's pretty much the game. It gets a lot harder. Eventually, there's going to be 2 QIXs on the screen. You have to divide them up. Even with 18,000 points, I don't even get on the damn leaderboard. This game is actually pretty damn brutal. So anyway, I tell you what, why don't I turn on the lights here, and I'll just kind of show you guys basically the inside of the game here. Alright, so back here is the hardware. This is the PCB stack. There's basically 3 boards. This is the CPU board, or the video board here. And what happens on these boards, well, first of all, let's back up. On these Taito games, like all of them, Jungle King, Elevator Action, Zookeeper, these power supplies, these linear power supplies, they go bad, and they go bad in a big way. So a lot of times you can buy these games cheap, and all you need to do is replace the power supply with a more modern switching power supply, which is what I did here. And that was the very first thing I did. Now, arcadeshop.com, they sell an adapter, which is right there, which is an adapter, and this right here replaces all of this now. So I've got a modern Peter Chow switching power supply with the Taito adapter. So I plug that in. So that's step 1 when you get one of these Taito games that are dead. Replace the old power supply, because trust me, it's dead. So after that, with this game and with Zookeeper, the big deal on these is the connectors here and the RAM. These RAM chips suck, and I actually got my Zookeeper working by replacing all these RAM chips and replacing the power supply. On this QIX, I wasn't as lucky. I was really hoping I would be that lucky. I wasn't able to get it going that way. Eventually, I had to go buy a new PCB set, which basically replaced this board, this ROM board, and the sound board, because I was just like up to here with aggravation with this damn thing. Swapping boards and chips and connectors and reflowing all the header pins. Back here, these pins back here, I reflowed the solder and all those. Everything I reflowed. It was just nerve-wracking. I mean, if you don't know what you're doing with like a Fluke or just more analytical equipment like me, you're basically kind of guessing and going for the real obvious things, and that's what I was doing, and it just wasn't working. Another thing with this game is the battery right here. These games originally had a little nickel metal hydrate battery, a rechargeable battery right there. the battery over time would start leaking acid, and it would basically take out the whole game. And the acid would basically just start eating away all the traces, and also acid would start dripping down to the other boards. And you'd see acid damage on some of these games on all these boards. So when you're going to look at these Zookeepers or QIX games, and also other games that have batteries, you got to make sure the battery hasn't leaked and destroyed it. Now this game is actually kind of very difficult to operate without a battery. The battery saves all the settings and the high scores. So what I did here is I soldered some wires to where the battery was, and now I'm going to remotely mount. This is just a cordless phone battery. I have one of these in my Zookeeper, and it's been great. This is a 3.6 volt nickel metal hydrate, 1200 milliamp per hour, basically cordless phone battery. I just go to the hardware store and I buy a cordless phone battery. I try to get one with a higher milliamps per hour because it will last longer. It also might take longer to charge. So when you put this battery on initially, you basically got to keep the game on for like 12 hours to really get it to fully charge. But that's really kind of the gist of the hardware. The monitors right here, you've got adjustments for screen, and which is kind of brightness, and focus, which is like sharpness. The color adjustments are on the neck board here. This is, I think, red and blue drive, and then on their side is the RG and B, red, green, and blue adjustments on the other side of the neck board. And then the geometry, you know, kind of the size and the shape of the board, those adjustments are over here. This particular monitor is a G07, which is an Electro Home monitor. It's a very popular monitor that was used in the 80s in these classic games. I haven't done anything to the monitor yet. I'm probably going to cap it and rejuve it. And when you rejuve it, you basically you're kind of burning off the phosphors that are on the electron gun. So anyway, that's it. That's pretty much it. That is Taito's QIX. Pretty interesting game. Pretty great game, really. And right now, I'm trying to figure out how I get this in my basement. Anyway, guys, that's it. Let's go back down to the basement. Alright, well there you have it. That was Taito's QIX. And pretty great game. I want to thank you guys for subscribing to my little channel. If you haven't yet subscribed, go ahead and click on that subscribe button. And also be sure to check out my podcast at videogameoutsiders.com. We actually record that show live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Time at allgames.com. And it's also, you can find us at videogameoutsiders.com. Other than that, guys, we'll see you next time, and later.